Hey everybody, it's your boy Ranger J 1999. With me as always is Carthrick, the Welling Cannoneer. Hello, Carthrick.
Howdy.
Howdy,
How are we
howdy.
doing,
We,
Ranger?
we're doing good. I don't know why we're talking like this, because we're potato heads. But one thing we are doing is another video for you guys today. You guys have really liked the tier 2 guides and everything else we did for for Leia and Riva and Zepho and um Karth, one thing out of the many years that I've been doing this, and you've been around for our Taco Tuesdays when we do mini roster reviews, is we get asked all the time about mods. And specifically looking at people's GLs or main characters. I was sitting there thinking, we need to cover Galactic Legend modding, the ones you
Yeah.
can and cannot do, and why you do them a certain way. And so we've got myself and Carth here today. We're going to break down today. We're going to cover the light side because Leia just came out. I figured it's the right time to do it. So let's start with Leia first here. Some of these are going to be pretty obvious. When it comes to the light side, it's pretty obvious. But we want to talk about the certain stats, certain things you want to hit, why you want to mod them that way for the team. So let's get into it. And let's start with our famous Leia. Galactic Legend Leia Organa, and looking lovely in her indoor outfit, her hair all pulled up and stuff.
Yes. The Poncho Princess reigns
Yes,
supreme.
that's true, very true. Now, Karth, me and you we're a little strange. You and me, now
Yes.
there's a couple ways you can mod Leia. Now we've gone with a tenacity health build, and I'll pull up the stats. Karth's a little bit better on the tenacity than mine's, right at 200%, 199.28, and you can see lots of health. We want lots of health on her. But Karth, why are we going with this build?
So the main thing for the why I kind of want to lean into tenacity when I was modding for Leia was basically around the concept that I didn't see a reason why she needed to be ultra fast outside of mirror matches. That was the only time I could see her speed being very critical to what she was countering. And so in my head, I went, okay, well, if speed's not the most important aspect of her modding, then what would I want to focus on? Of course, you need health for her ultimate, but then I kept coming back and looking at tenacity and going, okay, well, if I can avoid getting ability blocked and breached and speed down and debuffs in general on Leia, then I might make counters like JML more challenging versus Leia, and so that's where we kind of walked into started doing the tenacity builds. I mean, I got mine's got like 210% tenacity,
Yeah,
but I do get messages from my GAC opponents that they struggle with
same.
their counters because, oh my God, I didn't expect all the tenacity to do anything, and they're like, well, there you go.
That's the way it
So
works. You want about like speed does matter, but I mean, as long as you're about 510 to 530 with her with this build, you're fine. The main thing is
yeah,
tenacity and lots of health. So
clearing 500 is pretty much your main objective. You can
yeah,
start once you get past that, you want to start focusing on other things. Um, but it is one of those things where you have to just push super high tenacity if you're gonna make it work. So you need to aim for about 200% tenacity,
you're going to need
and
a tenacity
then
cross with it, whether
yeah,
it's the
tenacity
tenacity set
cross.
or health set, whichever one it is, and your secondary is as much tenacity as you can
Yeah,
get on there. You can see I've got a health tenacity triangle with 10.96 percent tenacity on that, so as much as you can get. And so yeah, but no, there's other ways you can do Leia, right? It's not
yeah.
just tenacity build. What's the other
Well,
build
the other
that's
one,
common?
yeah, the other one that we touched on in the beginning, it's a speed health build. That's another super common one where it's just all about making your Leia as fast as possible. Aiming for that 550 to 560 range with your speed set, and then having a health set to complement that, just to push her ultimate up a little higher. And then the other way I've seen, which seems to be the more common one for right now, just because of the Datacron sets, is to push her incredibly high in health and mod her 3x health sets,
Yeah,
all health primaries. Still kind of the same speed range as what you're looking at for the tenacity build that we do. But those are kind of like the main three that we see, is basically either all health, all tenacity, or all speed.
there you go. So yeah, think about and again, this even Leia will be coming off defense, and she's already come out defense for me for this round with 3v3 with some of the new datacrons out. But still, this tenacity build, even on offense, is really nasty. So you just like, oh, you didn't land anything on me. My turn. You know, so
Yeah,
it's
the
really
more turns
nice.
she takes uninterrupted by allowing to use her specials, because her specials are really what allow her to be the menace on the battlefield, with giving everyone that call to action and then giving that ambush stacks out and the AOE
Yeah,
unresistible debuffs that she throws out with that first special. It's good to have access to them all the time, so the less time you're spent locked up behind ability blocks or stun, well, not stuns, but like dazes,
yeah.
stuff like that, so she can keep counterattacking. It's critical for her. So
There you go. All right, let's go to our next GL, and we are going to be going into Jedi Master Luke Skywalker.
oh
And the
god.
reason I want to go to him next is because, oh, Carth, we see so many Jedi Master Lukes. Like, why, why?
I still see Jedi Master Lukes that
I
are
did,
modded for the Bast of the Lead days, back when he
yeah,
first was released, like 2 and some years ago.
yeah. There's some key stats you got to hit here. Now you can see I've got a speed set with a health set. You can go potency set, and we're going to talk about why you may want to go potency set with maybe a potency on the cross as your primary, depending on where your protection lands. Because some key stats you want to hit here with Jedi Master Luke. Protection is key. I've got 145,000 on mine. I do have a faster Jedi Master Luke. He's 553. And then potency. You've got to be above 90% at least your GML. The lower that number, then you might as well not use a special. Because yeah, his special will do damage if you get to ultimate, great, but not landing any of the debuffs, ability blocks, things that he's known for. And the protection stats important because that's how you get the whooping damage with the other Jedi. And I don't know why people don't get this number higher. The other thing I will talk about with the modding that does make a difference is JML is one of those characters we know Leia we want to take to 9. So do you want to you want to take Jedi Master Luke to if you can to Relic 9 as well. He gets that big boost. He is a tank that really makes a big difference in his numbers. So let's talk about the modding here. As I said, I've got a speed set, health set. You can go speed set, potency set. You're trying to get that potency number up. But if you look at the modding that I have here, and you can talk about a Carth, I have a potency on the cross because on the other key ones, the arrow, the triangle, and the circle, I've got protection. If you want to break it down for why, Carth, why did they not do this? I don't explain it to me.
Well, and so a large portion of it is, I think players kind of they were so used to not using JML in the leader slot for a long time
Yeah.
that they weren't modding him for that role. So a lot of people were modding him for like speed health sets or just full on as much bulk as they can get to maximize that bonus protection from Basta's leadership and things like that. Which I mean at the time was a strategy, right? And
Yes.
so right now, the main reason why we want to run Jedi Master Luke fast with high protection and potency is because he needs to get in front of the other GLs to be an effective counter most of the time. So you don't want to have a massive speed gap between like your JML and the enemy Lord Vader. So like because like those ones do have higher base speed. So if they're also modeled with a speed set, they're going to outrun you, but you're not that far apart. And what that does is that helps it helps boost up your inherited teachings, your coin damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the larger your protection pool is, and then the potency is really nice to have on him because that's what is your bread and butter for landing your ability blocks and stuff like that. Because you can only tenacity down one character, so everyone else you have to try to hope that the check happens organically. And so the higher you push your potency up, the more likely that is going to go into your favor. Because when people push, like we just said with Leia, we push for high tenacity. If you've only got like a barely any added potency to your JML, you're looking at like 80%. Like
Yeah.
I got
If that.
210% tenacity. Like you're never going to land your buff immunity or sorry, your ability blocks or whatever else on me at that point.
Yeah.
So that's going to help me become harder to control. So that's kind of the main way. There isn't really
Not a lot of wiggle room with this.
not a lot of wiggle room. If you have great potency secondaries, you can get away with a protection primary cross.
Right.
But you need it, you like you said, you're aiming for about 90% potency because you want to have super high protection. Anywhere above 140k is good. Um, like mine, I sacrifice some potency. I'm still working on some of the moving some of the mods around, and I'm up to like 167k, 165k
Right.
protection. But I'm at 80% potency, so I need to kind of move some stuff around and get things sorted to make that work again. But it's just one of those things where you can
It's a balance
finagle it a
act.
little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, it's a balancing act on where you want to focus on and what you're countering, where it's going to matter. But Jedi Master Luke basically has the one set. You're going to run them with the speed set, and then basically, depending on what your potency secondaries are, you're going to run them with 4 protection primaries or 3 protection primaries and a potency cross, depending on what your secondaries are.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of his template. He doesn't deviate much from that.
Now, in
There's
the
no there's no point to.
yeah, previously I had a full health set on him because I had the secondaries. He was a little bit slower, and I had way more health and protection. But let's looking at it, the speed does matter a little bit with him as well. So keep that in mind. You can run full health set if that's what you got. If you have high 25 plus on the mods, this remember these are goals for long term for your GL. You can get away with that. It does work, but this is what you need. And the health set can be sacrificed for a potency set if you're just not hitting that. But like you don't have the right potency cross, it just doesn't work. You need to go protection there. Then go potency
Yeah.
set, and then make sure your other secondaries are where you're getting above that 90. All right. That being said, next GL. I don't know. Dealer's choice. You want to go Ray or you want to go
Let's do
Kenobi?
let's do Ray. We'll end on a good note with Kenobi.
Yeah. Now, my Ray, I haven't really changed her. I've never felt the need to change her. I run offense with health. I just like her to hit really hard. My health's only 160,000. She is relic 9. Actually, 160,000 is pretty solid. But I just love the damage on her. I have 12,453 damage on her. She's always constantly getting datacrons or boosts from these stupid things that make facing Ray and Ben really, really difficult. And it doesn't take much for her to ramp up, especially Relic 9, and she's going to knock the crap out of something. And this is what I have. So there are some different moddings we can go with in here, but for me, it's mainly damage and health. The other stuff, I'm just like, yeah, speed 531. She's a slower, you can get her faster, but I mean, not really.
She's
Yeah, go ahead.
so the alternate ways to mod Ray are really kind of around what are you trying to create the problem for? And it's kind of like, and we'll talk about this when we do the Dark Side GLs. Was like Slacker's kind of got the same vibe, right? Like when you're going heavy offense on Ray, you can sacrifice some speed. You can prioritize bulking up with more health and stuff underneath her, and that's just so basically when she's getting 5% mastery gains every time someone gains turn meter, the higher your offense is, the faster she gets to those whirlwinds, just absolutely destroying the board. The ultimate just causing absolute chaos for the opposing team. But Datacrons, unfortunately, have had an interesting impact with some of the stuff that she does. Right now with set 11, the insane defense that she has.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people move back to doing super fast rays with just tons of health, like offense out the door because they don't care. It's all about just enduring. It's timeout team strategies. So that's basically the other way I can see Ray being modded is going for as fast as you can get her with as much health as you can get on her, and then that way you're just looping turns back with the Datacron. You don't take any damage. You have tons of health steal, so your basics are basically full healing you back up every time, and it just becomes a war of attrition kind of
Yeah.
strategy. But for most players, the offensive set with health is going to be good. Speed is still important. You don't want her to be super slow, but you can get away with her being, anywhere between 520 and
Yeah,
540 speed or
yeah,
something like that, or even higher if your mod set allows for it. It's harder to hit, of course, outside of a speed set, but um, you still want her decently quick, but you sacrifice some of that for better offense secondaries and primaries.
there you go. All right. And then last but not least, Kenobi. Kenobi's pretty much has been the same. He hasn't changed. There may be some fluctuations with this, but lots and lots of speed with lots of damage. Mine has 100,000 health, 70,000 protection. He is only relic 8. Kenobi is not one of those GLs I'm in the super fast mode of trying to take the GL to relic 9. I've got 10,000 damage on him, but it's just turns. It just turns, ultimate turns, trying to get him going as quickly as possible. You do want to speed set. I went health with that, but also a lot of offense in here to maintain some damage on him. Mine's only 568, but I mean, once you get above, in my opinion, 565 or higher, it doesn't really matter. Even in mirror matches, it's like he's one of the faster GLs. If you want to get him a little bit faster, you can. But I gave away a little bit of speed because I was like, they can go on some other characters for his overall speed. But I mean, right around 570 is pretty good. If you need to go faster, you can. It doesn't really make a difference because of the way Kenobi it works. But yeah. Go ahead, Carth, with the modding for our good friend Kenobi.
Yeah, so a lot of people run him with a speed set, right? And picking up health because he's all about protection up, and so that scales off of your max health. And so a lot of players push him that direction. And then just because of how his kit ramps mastery, you want him using his abilities as frequently as possible. So it's just pushing him up there. I actually go a little bit off the beaten path with this one. I actually run him with a crit damage set, and
Sure.
he's built way more offensively. And the majority reason for that is that the 90% of what I fight, the speed's not going to be as important as it would be in other things because Kenobi shuts off terror meter gains. So any team that is heavily reliant on that kind of stuff, it's not as pressing. So I've still got a fairly fast Kenobi at 540 speed. But I mean, there's just a much bigger offensive push. He's over 12,000 physical damage. He's got his 200 and almost 50% critical damage. And so he's just a little bit more of a menace after that first ult because he just starts hitting that much harder. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like Kenobi is again one of those GLs that wants to be very fast, but for players that can't afford, plus 25 speed sets on every GL that wants to be fast, he is a character that can take a backseat to that and build out a more offensive or a more tanky build. I do know some players that build him triple X or 3X health sets, and then run a bunch of health primaries on him and just try to make his protection up be as obnoxious as possible
Yes.
to work through. So there are other options with Kenobi. He's got a little bit more flexibility, kind of reminds you of Leia a little bit. But the overall consensus, of course, is just get him taking turns as quickly as possible. But for everybody who unlocks him, you may not have the mod depth, and he's one of those characters that can take a sacrifice on the mod sets if you need to prioritize something to somebody else that needs to be breakneck fast.
Yeah, and it's hard because you want a lot of characters that have to get to that are not GLs that you want the 350 and 360 and somebody in the 370 range. It's hard to do that
Yeah.
because rolling mods takes time. So, and Kenobi's going to have his speed anyway because I used to have him over 580. But then I was like, there's a couple characters I need to be 570s and 370
You
and just move these mods around here a little bit. And he still works great. I use him all the time against Jabba. 98% of the time I win unless you just get bad RNG, which can happen, but nothing's foolproof in this game. But yeah, he's straight up a hard counter to a lot of GLs. And the fast build will work really well for anybody else. I don't think you have to go ham. But it does take some work, and that's why we said that. So,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
that's
yeah,
the
go ahead.
speed set just helps you bridge the gap faster because you get that 10% speed, but GLs have a base speed of like mid to upper 30s.
Mhm.
So a speed set gives them plus like, it's like another speed arrow. It gives them like plus 35, 36, 37, depending on where they're at on their base speed.
Right.
So that's why speed sets usually are the go-to because it's the easiest thing to help bridge the gap. You don't have to make up, that 20 speed in having all plus 25s. You can start to sacrifice some of those rolls to get those higher numbers. And that's kind of the point of what we're looking at when you look at your GLs and how you want to mod them is looking at your mod depth on your roster and then kind of prioritizing. So
Yes.
having additional ways to mod a GL that allows you to circumvent the conventional stuff and still be a functional, good team. It's a nice tool to have in your back pocket while you're working on your mods. So something that I would recommend to a lot of players is don't worry about mimicking the best players and how they play and how they mod. Get in the right path, and as you develop your mods and for your account, then you can switch over and
Yeah.
improve on those as you go along.
Yeah. Have the set on, slice it up. If it hits, leave it on there. If not, then move some mods around and keep slicing, because that's the way me and Carth do it all the time. And I don't care who you are, if you're a new player, mid tier, or where me and Carth are at, you will always be working on mods, constantly moving mods and getting the sets correct to where you want them. Eventually, you'll get to the set you want. But as you know, once in a while, you got to reset and move some mods, and that's okay. But with this, the reason we're doing this video, and let us know in the comments what you guys have found for for your GLs and stuff, what works, what doesn't work, that kind of thing. Feel free to ask questions in the comments about anything that we discuss with you guys. But yeah, these are pretty standard stuff that we're talking about for all the GLs. So if there's any questions about that, you can feel free to reach out to us in the comments in the video, or you can just join our Discord. That'll be linked below in the video, and you can come ask us directly. This is what we do, Carth. We are out to help the pipples.
Yeah, we want to make the journey in SWGOH a little bit more tolerable for players. Because that's always the struggle when it comes to being a newer player, getting into these into the GLs and stuff like that. Is just you don't have the roster depth that the accounts that have been playing for 7 years have. So kind of giving players options on what they can do to still be viable, but not break the bank on your mods, so that you can still have other good teams.
Yeah.
Are good. Good. It's good information to know.
Yeah, you just be patient, keep working on your mods, they'll get there eventually. And these are the goals that you should shoot for. And if you're not quite there yet, that's okay. Just keep slicing and dicing. That's the name of the game. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you like the content we're putting out. And with that, Carth, I have to go set some TW defense that you just gave me. So then I'm going to go do that. So on behalf of myself and Carth, thank you for joining us for RSG on the video. And we'll see you next time, where we will be covering, well, should I tell him, Carth? Well, we did light side. We're gonna do the dark side.
We already said it in the video.
I know. We'll do the dark side characters next. So look forward to that video coming up very short. So everyone have a great rest of your week, day, night, or whatever it is you're doing, and we'll holler at you later.